Right. Hello and welcome to
IR11.
Okay, we've gone abbreviations now.
Illuminating rounds.
Illuminating rounds. Yeah, people might be tuning in. You're cold.
It's very cold here. It's very cold here.
Yeah. Where are we, Martin?
We're near Burbalatova.
Spoken like a true
Burbalatova.
Yeah.
I think that's how they say it. And but it's in Russia.
It is in Russia. Although at the moment, I think it's in Ukraine. So I think. But we were in Russia.
Yeah, okay. All right, yeah. It certainly would have been Russia then.
Absolutely, exactly, yeah. Right, and so we've got a lot to get through today.
Indeed.
So we are going to talk about our new patrons. So thank you to ML. We know who you are, but because you signed up as ML, we'll keep you as ML unless you tell us otherwise.
Yeah.
But thank you, and I'll try and buy you a beer as well if I see you at some point. And we have a few new bits and pieces to show everybody.
Yeah,
we got
quite a few.
Yeah, we got the counter sheets from Broken Ground Design. They sent us a whole bunch of counter sheets, so we're going to go through that. And we're actually playing with some of them as well today.
Yeah.
So that's great to be able to showcase those. And Martin, you've got something as well.
Yes, so we've also got Le Franc Tireur 14, which we're going to feature.
That's right. And in honour of that, we are playing a scenario not from that pack.
That's right. We wanted an aeroplanes one. There were some plain ones in there, but we
found a nice one.
Yeah.
And this is a world first, isn't it? This is the first time, I'm going to say in the world ever, that one of these top-rated scenarios from Vindictus has ever been played, because there's no raw rating.
Okay.
No one's ever played this on the archive. So
until we record this, there are no known players.
This scenario is perfectly balanced. That's what I'm going to say. There is no whining.
And it will be perfectly imbalanced by the end of today.
Infinitely imbalanced. That's right. And so the person who loses has a good right to complain. And it's an interesting scenario. We've got some challenges, and it's quite rules heavy. So we're going to go through quite a few of the rules.
Yes.
And talk through a few of those bits and pieces as well. Okay. So top fives. I thought we'd go through the favourite historical ASL official ones, and not necessarily the ones we think are the best, but the ones we like to play.
ASL MMP campaign games.
That's right, historical.
Okay.
Although historical. So for example, the Watchtower or Veritable could be in there.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through that, and we're also going to talk about what we've been up to this week.
Yeah.
And we'll play the scenario. Anything else? Oh, we're going to talk about the new Patreon goal. So so for the patrons, we've got a new goal for them. We've got when we get to 20 patrons, we're going to start a new goal for those.
And how many are we on?
We're on 15 at the moment. We're going to count Rob.
We're
going to count Rob because he donated a very large amount of money so we're going to count him as for the next year. So we're on 15 right now, and when we get to 20, we're going to buy a pack of the of the patrons choosing. So I'll do a random selection like we did before, and this time what we'll do is we'll give them a pack, and we'll put between one of the March Madness packs or one of the From the Cellar packs, and we'll buy them a pack. We'll buy a pack for ourselves as well, and then we'll play a scenario from that. I thought so. That's something good. We'll cover the shipping and everything, that'll be around. So 5 more patrons, and we're doing that. So
nearly there,
absolutely. We're about 3 months away from our live game if we go at the current rate. So just to let you know.
And to be clear, that's me and you playing live.
Me and you playing live.
Patrons allowed to.
Everyone
watch.
Everyone, welcome to come in and join the gallery here if you want to. But
will they be able to sort of interact with us?
I think so. Absolutely. So we'll do something on Twitch. We'll probably pick a small scenario because I think the camera has got to be quite zoomed in to capture everything. But we'll do a smallish scenario
to capture the tension and the excitement.
Right, but we'll play live and we'll try and figure out see the live shots of your face, disappointment, my excitement.
So it's going to be interesting. So, are people going to be able to give us tips, or are people just going to comment?
I think that'd be nice. I think interactivity is even better.
Yeah.
I think it's almost we should have it like a party game. Like it should be like a celebration of. So at the moment that's 3 months away, but the more patrons that join, the quicker that will happen. And the more work I have to do to set that up technically. So but
that sounds like a lot of fun. Look forward to that.
Excellent, good. All right, so let's talk about what you've been up to this week.
I've not been playing ASL. So I couldn't. Well, I had to go. My sister's an alcoholic. I think I don't keep this a secret.
Right. Okay.
She'd be shocked if she knew I was saying it online. But she has been an entire year without drinking, and she's going to AA, and we went down to London to celebrate, and I had to cancel my game this week. Right. But it was a fantastic event.
A dry celebration, I'm sure.
Well, yes, there wasn't any drinking. She says we can drink in front of her, but people tend not to.
And I said to you off camera, that must be the hardest year of her
I would have thought so,
through.
but she seems great. Brilliant. She's happy. She's enjoying herself. She's going to Alcoholics Anonymous 2-3 times a week.
Okay.
So that's been a massive.
That's a good
massive good thing. Yeah, absolutely.
So John O'Reilly heard my calling out of him, so proceeded to get that game going.
Yeah.
Now there was a thread, interestingly, about have you ever won a game by rolling a double six? Okay, and John managed it. Okay, but he doesn't know he managed it, but he did manage it. So we were playing Showdown in Shanghai, Showdown in Syria.
Yes.
And basically the setup, as I put a picture of it on the last game, really was that the Indians
we played it.
I don't remember, but all pulling into this big building, and the French kind of pushing through over a stream, and it looked like I was kind of holding off to a big kind of a defence of the building. And in the next turn that we played, John captured 2 squads of mine, so fair enough, they got back, but they win immediately on a CVP cap of 15. So 8 points swung suddenly towards the French. He only needed 2 more points. He had a half squad, I had a full squad in the building. I thought, okay, it was the only squad in the building, so I jumped into close combat and thought, okay, if I get that one, then I'm kind of surrounded, my building's okay.
Yeah.
Missed the close combat, which was fair enough, we both stuck in melee, but then repositioned terribly for the onslaught of the French, who then just surrounded and all he really needed to do was jump 2.5 more squads in with a leader into close combat. So then he'd be on 3-1 with a -1 to win the game, because that was the 2 CVP he needed, rather than take the whole building. And so I joked and said, okay, well, all I need now is you to roll double six. He rolled a double six, so much mirth, much merriment.
Yeah.
So I withdrew out of the build, out of the hex, and then came to my player turn and realised it was completely hopeless because it surrounded me everywhere. There was literally 3 or 4 tanks kind of parked, pointing at the building. There were 2 artillery pieces just pointing there, and he had his full. I was like, you know what, I surrender. So he actually won by rolling a double six. And
they didn't realise it when it happened.
That's right, exactly. So
that's historic. Do people on Game Squad say they've done that?
I didn't see it. I'm sure they have. I haven't seen.
People could imagine ways you could.
Yeah. But certainly, I mean, that was his last role was double six, so it doesn't happen very often.
No,
but he played very well, so that was good. It's always good to get going with him. I also played Nick as well, who's the guy 10 minutes down the road.
Yes.
So we played Defiance on Hill 30. Had a great game. It was good to get him back into in squad leader. The first thing he did was roll a double six for his mortar. Then he sixed it and broke it, and the game finished on me rolling a double 1 and KIA in a couple of his squads. So he got the full range of dice rolls.
And he's a new player, isn't he?
Yes, he's played a long time ago though.
Yeah.
So 20, 25 years ago he's played, and now he's come back in again. So.
And you tried to give him a nice easy game.
Eased him in gently to KIA, and we had a really good time. He was a great host and had a good time. So thanks, Nick, and I'm sure we'll play against him. He also taught me how to play Up Front, which I've had in my cupboard for years. It's the card game of Squad Leader. I'd never played it before, and didn't quite give the same feeling of ASL, but it was close. There was elements that felt similar.
Okay,
so that's
excellent.
Okay, all right. So on to our top 5s.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so in terms of top 5, so this is top 5 historical ASL modules that we would like to play, given infinite time, but also in like what order would we pick them? So when you've retired, when I've retired, when we've got a bit more time. So number 5 for me was Hatton in Flames. I think that looks like a really nice, manageable one. It's new, so we haven't seen a lot of it. It's the first time that the MMP have done the snow-covered terrain as well, which is quite interesting. I think 5 days. I think 5 days and 3 days, or 6 days and 3 days, something like that. So very manageable. No night scenarios.
That's right. That's a unique feature, isn't it?
Right. Yeah. So and I think it's quite nice to be able to play a campaign over 3 dates, because you don't quite lose. The will to keep going. It's still fresh, isn't it? It's as fresh, and the gains you make are quite tangible, as opposed to a very slow grind through. So that's one. And I haven't played any of the scenarios yet from it, but I've been looking at the map. I've been getting the cards out. So I think that's something we've got to play at some point.
Oh, we've got to play that.
And we can probably even do it over a weekend and when we get that ASL retreat going. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Okay.
Cool.
So number 4 you had was.
So number 4 I had Festung Budapest.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now, actually, me and you played a few scenarios from that before we kind of sort of dropped a little bit out of the scene, didn't we? kind of one of the anxieties about it is that it might be a little bit too much like the Stalingrad ones, but I do think it had a different feel to it. You've got different kinds of units, haven't you? You've got kind of the, got the different.
Is it Romanians in there?
I think there are Romanians in there. There's certainly those sort of allies, aren't there? Sort of Axis allies. You've also got the German vehicles, and they're always running out of fuel, aren't they, and things like that. Yeah. But it's also not quite so built up. I seem to remember it being a bit more open.
The campaign game, the entry hex is a really small corridor, isn't it?
Yeah, they have to fight their way into to sort of expand that.
Yeah.
There's some very interesting units there. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. This is every time I go through these, I kind of think about what about we could play these different ones.
We'll get there, won't we?
Yeah, we have to. Yeah.
We played several scenarios. One of them quite big, I seem to remember, and I remember quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
But we never. I think we talked about getting. I think we even maybe did purchases and things like that for a campaign game. Well, I don't think we ever got around to actually doing it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So number 3 for me then was A Bridge Too Far. Now, I know that A Bridge Too Far, in terms of the balance, it's a little bit tough. I know that it's tricky. I think it's a tough scenario or campaign for the British, but it's a great scenario. It's a great looking map. I know it's the blocks. It's a little bit different to the perimeters as before. I know the British have a really hard time with it, but we've talked before. We don't care about whether we win or lose. In a way, it's the story that you're telling, and it's the progression of the campaign dates. It looks like a really interesting thing. We've played the scenarios. I know we've played a couple of the big scenarios.
Yes, we have. Yeah,
we had a good time with those. You've got the SS as well as the Germans in there. So you've got the black SS counters, and love them or hate them, but that's
they've been controversial in a way.
They have, and they're going to make an appearance again today for us.
They are, absolutely.
But so definitely that's on my playlist.
Yeah, and it's always seems to me a little bit of a shame. It's so difficult to get hold of that now, isn't it? Because it's never been reprinted. Right. It's very expensive if you try to buy it on eBay and things like that. And of course the black counters, of course, are only available through that if those are things that people want
for the official ones. Because you could get them through. There was the Waffen SS packs, I think, from Heat of Battle. I think I did a couple of those, and as we'll talk about in a minute,
there's black counters available at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. All right, so number 2.
So number 2 is Pegasus Bridge. Yeah. So everyone listening to this will know that I've been playing the Pegasus Bridge campaign game, and we've been having an absolute blast. I mean, Martin is my opponent. Martin's been saying that it is some of the best ASL he's ever played. He's absolutely massively enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it very, very much myself too. It's a very, very unique situation, isn't it? It's a very, very unique situation. It begins with that epic glider landing, that sort of famous glider landing, and gradually turns into different things. At first, you've got this sort of very sort of desperate sort of night action. We're just beginning the sort of the daylight scenarios now, dates, and they're. It just feels very, very different. There's a lot of variety in there.
Would you say it's scripted at all? Do you feel that it's going to play similarly each time you play?
I suppose. I mean, to some extent, I think perhaps all campaign games feel a little bit like that. You're suddenly going to get your massive reinforcements on that campaign game date, isn't there? I think perhaps there's an element that they are, but. Yeah. Maybe
it certainly feels to have, it feels to have a nicer narrative than I think in some of the campaigns where you can kind of see where you are in the campaign almost by day. You can say, this is the day that you get the big reinforcements.
Me and Martin are struggling to work out who's winning.
Okay,
I think it's quite, and I think that's because we've never played it through right to the end, so we're not quite sure how it sort of plays, how significant certain events are.
And you're three days off, is it, from the end?
So I think we've probably got a couple of campaign dates, and then there's the afternoon or the dusk one, and I think that might be the last one.
Okay, all right. Okay, so number 1, I think I guess everybody's is just the classic red barricades, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just looks. I mean, everything about your ASL career builds up to a red barricades game. I guess the only downside to it is there's not quite as many tanks as I would have liked. You'd like to push tanks around. We like to have a feel that we can run things over, and we can, there's a few, but it's mostly an infantry fight, isn't it? And it's flamethrowers, and it's big heavy machine gun stacks. It's maybe to a fault, really, the Death Star attacks that you get, the 36 up up 2 and up 1 shots that you get from the big leaders. And
Yeah.
But it's a scenario, or it's a campaign game that I think everybody should try and play at least once. Funnily enough, we started it. We played a few.
We played the first date, I think,
That's right.
or most of the first date, perhaps.
I found the counters. I put all those counters away. I found them again. So I thought, well, we're not going to play again. I'll put them all away.
Yeah.
And suddenly my counters, my heavy machine gun pile, I couldn't believe how many heavy machine guns we'd had. Like suddenly, my pile of them has gone right back up again.
That was a big old game, wasn't it?
It was big, yeah. It was really, really big. So we had a good time.
We had a good time.
One, and we'll get back to
that.
Yeah,
we'll get back to that at some point.
All right, good stuff. Excellent. Okay. All right. So next up, I thought what we'd do is we'd share a little bit, and we'd encourage a bit more interaction with our solid viewer base. I think our established viewer base we've now got.
Absolutely.
And we would share pictures of our collections. So our ASL collections.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Right. Okay.
Before we worry, it gave me a good excuse to at least tidy up my cupboard of ASL. So here's mine. And you can see there's some sneaky non-ASL games at the top there that we're not going to worry about. But it's also
very tidy and well organised.
That piled out at the bottom there is actually counters that I haven't yet sorted and put away.
I have millions of those.
I think everyone's got that.
I keep them in Beyond Valor.
Right.
But Beyond Valor is now you can't put the lid all the way down. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So so this is mine. So you can see I've got the Racco storage here. I've got, I think it's five binders of scenarios, which is just crazy. But there's six.
Do you have trouble when you go to play a scenario and there's a counter that is it kind of comes in Pegasus Bridge or comes in maybe a critical hit thing?
Today's scenario has challenged my counter storage. So today's scenario, I had to find first of all the dismantled heavy machine guns, which aren't that many for the Russians. There's not that many in there, so I had to try and dig those up, and they of course were in with the radio and the phones, which
is logical.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Then I had to find the 82mm dismantled mortar, which I didn't even know existed, but apparently you can dismantle it. And by the way, in that scenario we're playing, which Panzerschlaut, you can fix the remantle. Is it remantle? Do we mantle the machine gun?
Put back together.
Yeah. When we mantle it, put it together. Whatever we do with it. You're an English teacher, you know.
You don't say mantle. I don't think I do. You put it back together. What's the technical term?
Not in the rule book. It's not. What's it going to say in the rule book? What's our assemble?
De-assemble, maybe, or de-dismantle.
De-dismantle. Okay.
Undismantle.
Okay.
Undismantle.
No, it can't be undismantle. Right.
Assemble,
anyway,
mate.
Assemble.
Yeah.
Well, okay. When we assemble the 82mm mortar, we can fire it. Or the 81, 82. I can fire it once in the same turn.
Do you know what? As long as you haven't moved it, is that right? Or
I think it's actually got wheels on it, apparently.
Yeah. No, I do remember that. Yeah.
So so that's that one. Then I had to try and find the Lend-Lease vehicle, which is the M3A1 scout car. So confusingly, the chapter H says go find it in the British counters. So I found it in the British counters, but it's a different counter. And then I went back to the Americans, and it's got the same one, and it's in the Russian colours in my American storage. So I don't know. If you put your Lend-Lease Russians in with your Americans or in with your Russians.
I don't think I know which one's a Lend-Lease anymore.
Okay, right. So so mine were in with the Americans. That's the first thing. Then I had to try and find what else was it? There was something else as well. The fighter bombers as well, because we got those. So it was all. And then the wagons, dig the wagons up, and then this is a shout out. I'm going to give a shout out to Richard. I can't think of his name. Richard Hutchinson.
Oh yeah.
So I had to find my trucks, my ZIS trucks, the Russian trucks, and there are 6 in this scenario. And so I dutifully went to my nice little pot of counters, and I pulled out all 4 that I had, and then I was stuck. And I was like, okay, this is bad. Like, where are the other 2? So. We're going to do an episode soon on what annoys you about ASL.
Yeah, people telling stories about finding finding different counters.
No, this is the good part about it.
Where did you find the other 2?
In the tray next to it. But I didn't know if there were going to be 4 or 6. So I had to find the armoury, which goes back to Richard Hutchinson's armoury files. You can see you've lost interest in this story, but I'm trying to give a shout out to Richard, who maintains this list.
Oh right, no, definitely.
And I went and found it, and I saw there was 6 in Beyond Valor, and therefore I knew there was 2 extra, and I looked in the counter tray next to it, and they were there. So thank you, Richard, for doing that. You saved me.
What's next, Dave?
Let's talk about two things that we've been sent. So we'll talk about let's talk about the broken ground counters.
Yeah. Mm.
So Alan kindly sent these over to me. I'm going to put the details up on the screen and in the description for where you can buy these. Yeah. Now these are a mixture of utility counters and order of battle counters. Now some of these obviously you don't have to buy them all. They're available separately.
I see.
So you can buy as and when you need them.
And you can pick what you want.
And choose. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So the ones that I think are going to be quite highly sought after are things like the SS, so the black.
Because they come in black. Yeah.
The black counters here. And I know for people like yourself who missed out on a bridge too far and didn't get the WAF and stuff.
And we're going to play with the vehicle counters from this set today.
That's right, because this scenario has SS vehicles basically. The vehicles,
but ordinary infantry.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Alan also sent us over the counters for acquisition. Yeah. The acquisition counters are fairly similar to the existing counters from MMP.
But are these 4 different nationalities that?
There are different nationalities here, as well. So he sent.
But they are the normal nationalities that.
Yeah. So these are things like Eastern Europe, Western Europe partisans, Polish, Romanian.
Okay, so things that might not be well represented in the system.
That's right. Yeah. And again, we've got some large concealment counters and things like that. You've got some foxhole counters now. I genuinely got more foxhole counters than I can know what to do with in MMP's ones, but some people I suppose may not have. Yeah. So they've got those. Now there are some nice initiatives on these counters, and I like the idea that we've actually pushed the idea of what you can do with a counter. I don't know why anyone's not thought this before, but there's sniper counters with the sniper number printed on them.
So these are the French snipers, but instead of just one counter, you've got
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 7. Yeah, exactly. And that's really quite useful.
It's difficult to remember sometimes, isn't it? People got all sorts of different systems for remembering it. In fact, you've got 2 of each, haven't you? So even if it was a campaign game, you could do that. Yeah,
exactly. So there's
what's on the back of those counters?
So the usual pins. So you've got your sniper counters there that you can utilise, which is a good idea.
Yeah.
Another good idea was the Pfeiffer effect and the off-board artillery, but including the size of the artillery in them. So if you've got 2 different artillery,
so you had an 80 and 100, then you've got 2
different sets
of counters.
Yeah, so which is quite nice.
Yeah.
There's the bicycles with extra details on them that aren't on the counter as they're currently printed.
Bicycles.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
So motorcycles, I think, and bikes. So a little bit extra.
Yeah.
So you can kind of
There's
see
information about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a comedy sheet which may or may not appeal to some people. You've got pins with the voodoo dolls with the pin sticking in them. You've got shock with the guy getting electric shocked.
Yeah.
Stunned with the stars around the guy's head. A bit of novelty, but some people might enjoy those.
Yeah.
It's certainly a bit different, and will certainly raise questions.
And then you've got a Japanese order of battle there.
That's right. So I'm assuming this is if you, for example, haven't had enough counters for some of the bigger scenarios. Maybe I know Blood Red Terrier has an awful lot of certain counters. So we've got a set of counters here for the Japanese. Very similar. They are.
Essentially the same as the official ones.
Now, the other good thing that's been done here is when the counters are fanatic, rather than putting a fanatic counter on or heroic, actually the counters are modified themselves. So you can see that the morale has gone up in certain counters as well to signify that they are actually heroic or they are their morale's gone up by one, they're fanatic maybe, things like that. So that's quite interesting. And he's done the same as well for the squads. So again, if you're fanatic, your morale on these guys is up to 8s or 9s.
So there is a kind of a normal set of Japanese, but for each counter type there are fanatic versions.
That's right. So fanatic, or when their morale is increased because they're fighting a certain nationality, which happens to certain. I think it's the Italians maybe. Okay. I think there's a few.
And that would mean you wouldn't need to have to remember, for example.
That's right.
Okay.
We've got a set of Italian counters, not the only ones that we'll be seeing today.
Absolutely not. No.
We've got a set of Italian counters here.
Yeah.
We've also got the full order of battle here, really for the Italians, and again with things like the increased morale for fanatic troops, things like that here.
So I guess what's useful about this is if you can pick and choose about what you order. If you I suppose if you haven't invested in the full Rising Sun module, you could potentially still have the Japanese order of battle to play.
That's right.
Scenarios from Schwerpunkt or something
exactly.
like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So very nice. A nice addition to people's collections.
Yeah.
I know certainly. I would imagine that the SS will be very popular because the people that missed out.
You would have thought so. Yeah.
But the utility counters are really good, and it's something I'd like to see more of people pushing the boundaries of what can be done on a counter. I know it happened before with the support weapon first fired. When I think it was Bounding Fire, maybe I can't remember who it was. Someone did Heat Battle, maybe did the new counter. One of those. And then MMP realised it was a good idea and printed their own. So these kind of things actually can.
The advancing fire counters are good, aren't they?
That's right.
That you flip over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Alan, thank you very much for those. We really appreciate that. We're going to be playing with the SS today.
Absolutely.
And I may give some of these away to some Patreons as well if we can think of a good prize for something. And that's it. Now, we talked as well about you were going to do a scenario at some point for our Patreons.
Yes, well, so I have the outline of a scenario, but it hasn't been play tested. So that would be something that me and you perhaps have a chat about off camera. It's set in Norway. It's British v Germans.
And drifts. Snow drifts.
There are no snow drifts. There are no snow drifts. That is one of those rules I've never had to use, and this scenario won't change that. There'll probably be ground snow, though. I'm still sort of fine tuning some of that.
It's probably the middle of summer. It'll be ground snow for Norway.
And there was ground snow at the time, but it's quite a powerful German force. Overwhelming to the British, but they've got a job to slow the Germans down a little bit.
I look forward to that. And I'm sure then once we've got it in a form that is viewable, we'll pass it to the patrons. And
they can comment
and maybe it'll even become part of the tournament that we're going to run for patrons. So in March we're going to run that. For any patron at the middle tier above, you're into the tournament. There's going to be some bounties. Maybe it'll even be some counter sheets for people who beat us in the games.
Have we got enough?
Yeah, enough counter sheets or enough people.
No, I mean, the gifts. If people get a gift for beating us, I'm just thinking we might need a lot. Yeah,
we'll manage. We'll manage. Yeah, exactly. We'll figure out a scenario, a way of doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now you've got something.
Right. So the Franc Tireur 14. So I was really enjoyed kind of like sort of looking at this. So obviously you've got like a very substantial magazine. It has to be said, and a very substantial number of scenarios. 32 altogether. We'll talk about them perhaps a little bit later, as well as some counter sheets. Representing somewhat better quality Italian troops, perhaps, than the ones that we're used to seeing represented in ASL.
Right. And Franc Tireur is like a flagship product really for them, rather than the From the Cellar, which is just the scenario packs.
Yes.
This is really geared at like the almost one step above the journals, isn't it? It's like it's a journal but with extra scenarios, perhaps, and.
Yeah, there's a lot of scenarios, there's a lot of articles. The focus of this particular one really is the Italians and perhaps air support, perhaps being another thing that's highly featured in it. I guess if I just run through briefly what the sort of the articles are. I mean, it starts with an interview with Enrico Catanzaro.
It's the Vassal League.
He's the guy that's run the Vassal League. I've done the Vassal League 2 or 3 years in a row. I was in the Vassal League.
Did you get relegated out of it, or did you?
No, I just got busy. But I met some really nice players, really nice people.
Some good players. Well, I think I played the Commissar in there. Did you remember Piotr? He was a really strong player. I mean, there's some really good players.
And a lot of them were Italians, actually. Yes. I remember playing lots of Italians. I remember playing a really likeable Norwegian guy. I had some really good games, and do you know what? One of the most chivalrous players I've ever played. I can't remember who it was. I'm still Facebook friends with a few of the people I played with. One guy was much better player than me, and effortlessly was beating me. And at the very end of the game, I had to run one one sort of beaten squad across a ridge line in front of the whole of his order of battle.
Right.
Double time it and advance into a building or something like that in order to win and not lose. And it went for it, and everything he fired he rolled high, and I rolled past the morale checks. It just kept going. Everything was firing at it, and
all that practice finally come off, has it?
They got in the building I won, and there wasn't a slightest hint of disappointment from this man.
Put that internet connection down. It was.
We spent quite a lot of time in that game him explaining the rules to me. So despite that, I won. So a very chivalrous, very chivalrous guy. So yeah, I used to enjoy that. So there's an interesting article from Enrico, which
now Enrico he's been quiet on the forums. I haven't seen anything in the last couple of weeks. So maybe he's come back up again, but I hope everything's okay there. I saw that interview and I wondered whether or not all is okay there. So fingers crossed for him, and hope he makes appearance, because he does a lot of work on that, the Vassal League. So
absolutely. There's a tournament, a sort of write-up about a tournament. There's lots of historical articles in here. Most of them are about Italian units. So but the first one that you come to is about Bulgarian armour in 1944. I've got to say, I'm not an expert on Bulgarian armour
but now
in 1944, but now there's little that I don't know. So I think there's that one. That's by Steve Swan. This is quite a well-known ASLer, isn't he? Most of the other historical articles, and there's several, are about Italian units. And I think there's an element of sort of trying to sort of take a good balanced view on the Italians being represented in the system as quite low morale and poor quality and things like that. And there's an article towards the end which is quite interesting, which seemed to be quite sensible, which talks about very honestly about the failings of the Italians. They got defeated very badly at the beginning of the war in East Africa, weren't they, and North Africa as well. But poorly led. They had old-fashioned equipment. But it's kind of worth remembering us that in 1939 Italy still had one of the most important armed forces in the world. It's by no means really an insignificant thing, but also pointing out, I thought quite reasonably, that you can't sort of stereotype an army of that size with sort of 6 morale.
And ASL is very stereotypical, isn't it? It does take a very broad brush to
And for that reason they've written up about the sort of, I think it's Fulgori, which is I think a parachute unit. I think it means lightning or something like that. Apparently, absolutely went toe to toe with the best that the British had to offer, and were and did very, very well. And indeed, the Alpini division, which I think is represented in Mark Cavage's Few Returned, wasn't it? And they're elite. They perform well in the war and things like that. So it kind of wants to sort of address that. You do it with the Americans. Americans have sort of only a morale of 6, don't they, for their first line infantry? But there's lots of places where the fact that that isn't a fair reflection of elite American units and is represented. Marines have 8 and things like this.
They're also counteracted with that high morale on the reverse.
Absolutely.
They can always kind of fall back a little bit and think, okay, but the Italians don't have a lot.
And the Americans have amazing equipment, don't they? And of course, the Italian equipment historically accurately is generally quite sort of poor. So I thought that was quite interesting. For that reason, the counter sheets really are in here to readdress that. So there are units that will represent Italian parachutists. They've got good morale. They got better equipment.
So how many counter sheets are there?
There are only 2.
Okay.
There's quite a few aircraft on there, but you've got American parachutists representing the Fulgori units. You've got other elite units with 8 morale. Now, I suppose you could probably SSR this into a scenario, or whatever, but I guess this way you've got the counters. It is more. It's nicer to play with counters that represent the right numbers on them.
There's a fighter bomber there. Should we use there, because that one looks a nice full colour.
Absolutely should if it's the right one for the game. Yeah.
So look. So let's okay.
So I thought that was interesting. I think it was sort of nice to see a sort of an intelligent and fairly thorough job of sort of talking through the Italian performance and their representation in ASL. That was quite interesting. Some write-ups about some actions and things like that.
It's proper bedtime reading, isn't it? Where it's a proper study of.
There's an awful lot there. And then serious ASL sort of things. You've got that really, really thorough explanation of how to use the air rules. Which is a weakness of mine. I always get confused. I feel like I've got it, and then next time I play, I've forgotten it again. And we'll perhaps use that today to check we're doing things right. And there's also a very, very detailed after-action report at the end. I can't remember the name of the scenario. Something Sands. A Grain of Sand. It's a very, very detailed series replay with pictures. And actually, it has to be all the way through this quality of photographs and charts and tables and things like that.
So it's full colour, isn't it? We've got nearly 100 pages of content there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It is at 100 pages. Over 100 pages.
32 scenarios as well.
Yeah, and they're very, very varied. I mean, there's 2 with aircraft. I believe there's a couple in the desert. The Italians are highly represented, but it's by no means only Italians. This scenario here is in Yugoslavia, presumably against Bulgarians versus Germans.
Right.
So who knows what the story is behind that scenario? It'd be quite interesting to read up. Not a huge number of vehicles. I've looked for vehicles, and actually this one on the top, hunting high. There are quite a few vehicles in there, but most of the scenarios tend to be quite infantry heavy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I looked, and it was I like to see on the archive how long the total amount of players if you were to play it back to back. So it's 200 hours worth of scenarios in this pack. So if you think if there's 32 there, you can average around about 6-7 hours per scenario. So medium, pushing towards medium large size scenarios, not your very very small ones that we saw. In the other packs.
That's right.
And it always strikes me because of the full colour nature. You do get this kind of good overview of very quickly look at the terrain, and we can see there hunting high. You've got nice hill balls, things like that. Yeah. So it's nice to see good overview. Perhaps what we'll do is if we in another episode we'll take our top 5 from this pack because 32 is too many. We'll go through it and just think okay what's our top 5 and then we can put them up and give a bit more detail and play one from this pack.
I think that's a very good idea.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
Good.
So
on to today's game. So we're going to be playing a Panzerschlacht. Is that how you would pronounce it? Your pronunciation is a lot better than that.
Well, I make it up better than you.
You do.
Panzerschlacht.
Very good. Do you know what it means? I looked it up. Google taught me this.
Yeah.
So this means armour battle or tank battle, if you like.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea of this scenario. So we've set it up. We're ready to go. Just have a quick talk about it. Really interesting in terms of I think this is certainly. It's not quite what I would call big boys ASL in terms of you need everything, but you certainly need a lot of rules here.
Yeah.
So you need to be up on things like your scrounging of vehicle machine guns because we've got some great machine guns in our scout cars, the Lend-Lease ones. You've got a big decision to make about whether you're going to be attacking the village or pushing on past it.
Yeah.
You've got fighter bombers to think about. I've got to decide whether I'm going to pull back, where I was going to place the guns as well is a big decision for me. This is a tricky scenario, and I'm looking forward to it. Never been played before, so we're going to be our first ever player of this. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Okay.
And would you take now you've seen this set up? Would you take this as the Germans or the Russians?
The Russians' force on board feels very, very weak indeed. I think, however, it's a little bit tricky for the Germans. They're tanks which are very powerful. Half of them are Marders. They are very, very vulnerable to
the Marders.
Well, they're vulnerable to all sorts of things in this game. So I don't know. I think the Germans got to be very careful not to start losing large numbers of AFVs. If it was just between the sort of at-start forces, you would crush the village and take everything off. But there's more out there.
Right. It's almost like I've got a 16-point lead, but you've got easier points to run off than I've got. We'll keep a track of the victory points. We'll put them in the turn. So I'll put them down in the corners to give everyone a chance.
Sense.
We got some feedback that sometimes people weren't quite sure who's won a scenario, so we'll be clearer about that.
Okay.
So you're taking the Germans, I'm taking the Russians.
Okay.
And let's move on to the setups and strategy talk. Okay, here we go.
Thank you.
Okay, so welcome to Russia. It's 1943. There is snow on the ground, so ignore the grain here. So we've got a Russian village defended by just 6 squads, a couple of half squads, actually 4 half squads, a mortar and an artillery gun and an anti-aircraft gun. The SSRs are along the lines of the Russians can only set up in this area here, so 5 hexes from P10 on board 33. We've got a number of Germans coming on along this edge here, and they'll be bringing on 6 tanks, 12 squads, and more importantly some fighter bombers as well. The victory conditions are all about getting control of the buildings here. Multi-hex buildings and stone buildings are worth 4 victory points. Wooden buildings that are single hex are only worth 2. And also victory points for exiting units. Now the Russians can only exit the trucks and the wagons, and they also have to pass a morale check to be able to move. and failing that morale check by about 4 will actually dismantle, will actually destroy the trucks. So, and get the victory points to the Germans. The Germans, however, can exit anything they like off the edge here. So we're going to be seeing a German push, and actually it's something I've had to defend against, which is effectively just Germans running straight off the board and ignoring the village altogether. So what I've done is to try to tempt Martin into attacking me onto the side that I'm most strong. So what I've done here is put the squads, the left-hand side as the Russian looks of the woods here, to try and encourage Martin to bring his tanks around this side, and I expect him to be using the machine guns and the main armament to take them on. And then what I've got here is my artillery gun, which will be hidden, is able to cover this side of the Russian flank, and also can spin around if the Germans can start to run units off here. The SSRs say that one gun has to start in open ground, so that's my anti-aircraft gun here. And I do get some reinforcements. I get the M3A1 scout cars, which are the Lend-Lease vehicles. These are the great American vehicles that come with the detachable 50 caliber machine gun and the medium machine gun as well, and they have the half squad in there as well. So these are really crucial to my defence of the village. And they also have a little bit of anti-aircraft capability as well, and that's signified on the reverse of the counter with the red 2 number here, which says that I can use it as an anti-aircraft. So I'm hoping that Martin does get tempted to try and take on as much as he can of the village. I'm worried about him just running straight off. I get some reinforcements, so I get some tanks on my turn 2, and they'll be coming on from the edge of the board. So we'll see. Now the problem is that by turn 2, Martin has had 2 full turns to push tanks, and could be in a position arguably all the way down here, in which case my tanks won't have a lot to fire at, but whether they can get in position right is another thing. So very interesting scenario. We've got wagons, we've got motorcycles coming on. There's only one Russian leader in the setup. We've got the anti-tank rifle here to try and just give a little bit of cover. 2 sacrificial half squads up in the top of the building over here. Unusual to see so many half squads for Russians. Obviously they can't deploy usually, but these are OOB given half squads. And we have a couple of foxholes as well. We've got a dismantled mortar. It's an 82mm mortar, which is going to sit in the foxholes at the back here. And we also have the medium machine gun sitting in the middle of the village. Okay, let's see what Martin does.
So I've just set up the Germans. Not clear exactly on the best approach to this scenario. There's quite a lot of sort of different elements to it, but it seems to me that I need to move some of these tanks into position to be able to get some fire into this area over here and at the back over there, which are locations where this anti-tank gun can come up. I don't really want this anti-tank gun to become too effective in the game, because it can destroy my tanks. So I need to sort of move forward a little bit carefully, thinking about how I'm going to cover those entrance points. The one in Q1, I can't really stop it from coming on there, I don't think. But that's probably the least damaging place for it to come on. I'm going to initially press forward towards this wall. I think it'd be quite good to get sort of tanks in this position, because turn 2 they're going to be able to fire smoke to cover the advance of the infantry towards the village. I am going to attack the village. There's quite a lot of victory points in there, hoping to catch the odd truck. Perhaps destroy the odd truck for an extra sort of couple of points or a point or two. I'm going to be using assault movement for a large proportion of sorry, not assault movement. I'm going to be using armoured assault for a large portion of the force. Just give them a little bit of protection as they're moving forward towards the village. So big fire group over here. Both medium machine guns are in here with the 9-1 leader. We got the tank. We got the mortar. It should be that once the Russians start to sort of reveal themselves, I'm going to have some pretty potent kind of like response. So the idea is to build up a fire group, move forward slowly at first, and try and destroy anything that stands in my way. I'm a little bit wary. There's a very powerful artillery gun out there, can absolutely shred my tanks. I don't know where it is. So sooner I find that out, the better. I want to keep most of my force close together until I discover it, so that they can respond. I might lose a tank, but at least I'll have some sort of an answer. And then there's the reinforcements on turn 2. So mostly weak vehicles and a little bit of infantry. Somewhat more worrying perhaps is the T-34 M41, which is a powerful tank. It can destroy my tanks. Very, very powerful armour. However, the Marders can hit back at that, and they can destroy it. The Marders can destroy it. I think the 50 caliber gun on the tanks, my tanks probably would bounce off the front, but the Marders can destroy it. So, but of course that's going to be key target for the fighter bomber. The fighter bomber is going to take that out. So the plan is move forward, establish a fire base, fire smoke, destroy anything that fires back, start rushing the village, destroy everything I can, capture all the buildings, and exit everything off the other side. That's the plan. We'll see if it works out.
Into turn 1.
Absolutely.
So what's happened? You've lost a tank.
Yeah. Found all of your guns. You've revealed all of your guns.
Yep. I brought on my anti-tank gun in the safest place.
Yeah.
You did a sneaky thing of trying to get acquisition on some hexes that it may have. You didn't quite get line of sight.
It didn't have line of sight, but I think it was a bit dangerous to bring it on.
Yeah.
At that point, wasn't it?
That's right. I've got a couple of vehicles off. I got 3. I got a wagon off, and I got 2 of the trucks off.
Yes.
You have immobilised one. You've destroyed one, and so there's
a couple that didn't get to move.
That's right.
We're going to wait and see what happens with them.
Yeah. So currently, I think I've got 16. I think it's 16 points on the building, and I've got an extra 9 points in victory points. So 3 with the wagons and the truck coming off, and 6 for the tank that I blew up with the artillery piece.
Yeah.
You were unlucky there with the crew that didn't get out.
That's true.
And other than that, you've advanced on?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's it, isn't it? The first turns are relatively unremarkable, really. You just sort of got onto the board and this turn.
Yeah. And you didn't roll a 0 for your fighter bomb.
But I did try.
You did try. As you said, there was nothing to lose. So, all right.
There's also nothing to gain. Yeah.
But you guys rolled.
We rolled.
But this time, obviously fighter bombers could come on and could ruin someone's day. So we'll be seeing. We had a choice to put the anti-aircraft gun, the AA gun, into AA mode or not.
You chose to put it in.
I chose not. It's not in AA mode.
Yeah.
Just wondering whether that's interesting. You were very scared coming on your big stack there.
Well, I thought it was the big gun. I thought it was the 76 artillery piece, and I thought that can ruin people's day.
Yep.
Concealed. It's only 4 firepower from the.
Yep.
Having said that, of course, not all the stack's no longer completely concealed. So it's 8, isn't it? But +2 because we've got the protection from the
winter camouflage,
and the hedge. Yeah.
So and you can get out of it. Covered
potentially smoke it out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so turn 2.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So we just finished turn 2.
We have. Yep.
Yeah, and lots happened.
It certainly did. So what happened? Tanks were slightly coming around the corner.
What, your tanks or my
yours?
tanks?
Well, both. Yeah. Yours came down to start with.
Yes.
There was a bit of ineffectual fire from my mortar.
Yes.
Then you took the building.
More or less. There's still a half squad there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
But you jumped into close combat, won the ambush, 2 half squads.
Finished up winning it,
Then in my movement phase, I don't think a lot else happened in that. Then my movement phase, tried to pull 2 squads back.
A lot of ways I felt like at the end of my turn I was kind of making quite heavy weather of it. Didn't seem to me like I was in the right place for things. I didn't seem to be thinking things through very well.
Yep.
Didn't feel like I made a lot of progress.
And then I helped you out by trying to move 2 squads back.
Very considerably helped me out. Yeah.
so tried to move 2 squads back.
Both went berserk.
Both then started ridiculously charging the enemy. Survived 1 X. Both KIA'd.
And I was rolling very good dice at the time, wasn't I? I mean, I had that little fire lane. I thought you were going to go all the way up it.
Well,
but you died in the first hex, didn't you?
Disappointed you. I had 3 snipers. My sniper number was 3. And I had 3 snipers.
Yes, yeah.
Which then hit you. So you broke a squad, routed him into the woods, which luckily for me was in line of my mortar. I thought I was going to have a good pop at your mortar, your squads from my mortar. Mortar hit the first time, kept rate.
Yeah.
Started to knock.
Could have been a lot worse for me. Could have been a lot.
Double
worse.
6 mortar.
Yeah.
Then your stack kind of survived. There was one broken guy. Thankfully, one of the KIAs triggered the sniper,
which killed the leader.
Yeah, jumped into leader.
Which made the stack even worse. Yeah.
So that's kind of happened.
But once the mortar broke, then I got some. I broke and then double broke the crew.
That's right. Yeah. You fire back at them. So now my tanks have come on.
Yeah.
I did the great trick, which I never shouldn't do.
Such a good trick.
Swing that turret round, break the crew, break the passengers on the thing. So they're routed back to the edge of the board.
Yes.
These are elite guys, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Now your fighter bombs have come on.
Yeah, and I think I should have used it.
Yes.
I think I should have used it every turn, and I didn't use it.
Right.
And I was partly waiting for the right moment, and I partly forgot towards the end to use it, which is not great.
This episode's all about fighter bombers.
It's safe at the moment.
It is. Yeah, it survives.
I don't use it.
It survives.
So yeah, next turn I will definitely use it. I think the trick with it is going to be the machine guns. I think they could be very effective.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why I was moving awkwardly in my movement phase was to try and avoid you having either a nice drafting attack and things like that. So even though they haven't come on, they've had an effect.
And there's quite a lot of anti-aircraft fire around. I mean, I've got armour on the bottom +2, which is quite substantial. But you got the 6 on the
so one scout car has abandoned.
Yes,
it's a scrounge
and now doesn't have an
that's
anti-aircraft
right, and it's
machine
taken off the dismantled 50 caliber as well. The other one has kept it on. So we've got that to remember. So I've got they can still fire one of the weapons, I believe, from the scout car, but not both, because the passengers aren't doing
right. So the crew is still in there.
The crew's still in there. Yeah, they come with a.
And what weapon have they got in there with them?
So
they've still got the anti-aircraft machine.
Well, they've got the medium machine gun. So we need to figure out what that one is. We'll have to look at that. So basically, they've jumped out. So the half squad that's jumped out and has taken the heavy caliber. So
because I thought the one you took out, that was the anti-aircraft machine gun.
It could be.
We need to look it up.
So it's the scout car has a 4 and a 2.
Yeah.
The 2 is the red one. But it also has inside it is a heavy machine gun and a medium machine gun. That's kind of how it works. So we need to figure out which ones.
Okay. All right.
Come
Brilliant.
Off. But we'll do that now to let you know.
Okay. So how are we doing for scores? So
that's right. Yeah. So good chat. So so you have increased your scores by 8 points. You got 8 points worth of CVP there, and I only got 5. So that puts me on 11, 14.
And most of that was from running off vehicles, wasn't it?
For me, I got 3 points, but this time, there was a couple for your leader as well.
Yes,
I got, and
a half squad.
That's
I think,
right. Yeah. So three wagons went off. And then you've picked up a few points for your.
Okay.
So we'll put the scores on, but at the moment 11, 14 for me, excluding the buildings.
Yeah.
And you are on 9.
Okay.
That's where it is. Okay.
All right. Then, brilliant. Turn 3. Right, so we finished turn 3.
Yeah, okay, so a few more points for the Germans.
Yes.
You racked up another 7 points. I got no points in that one.
Okay.
The best thing happened to me was your mortar broke.
Yes. I did capture the building as well. Is that included?
That's not included. No, you're right. So
but you obviously still control. Well, I don't think there's any point in marking that on there.
Because
you tossed up one.
Okay. So we're going to give you another.
So that's 2 for you.
4 points for you.
4 points for you. 4 points off for you.
Yep.
Okay. So you'd still be in the lead, I assume.
So I am on 24, and you are on 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes it feel like it might be going my way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of feels like it's really difficult to make progress in the village. That was a really well placed gun. I'm not quite sure how to deal with that.
The artillery piece.
The artillery piece.
Yeah. It could fall this turn because you've got guys close.
It could.
Close behind.
It could. The problem is it's pointing in the right direction at the moment, and but it still could. It still could. I made a bit of a mistake with the plane. I tried to pin that artillery gun, didn't I? Because I thought that would lose your concealment.
Yeah, and it was a tough sighting check.
It was very
tough.
So
you had the +3 for the woods, and you had a vehicle nearby.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
so it was +3, wasn't it? So I needed a 5, which was not impossible, but there were plenty of other things I could have spotted easily.
Yeah,
it probably would have been better to go for one of those.
There was some ineffectual anti-aircraft fire that came back at it.
Yes,
there was nothing. So it's kind of been a little bit of whispering fire at each other.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, we're both kind of stand off each other. So I feel like my tanks are outclassed.
Yes, I do.
And do you feel that you?
No, I think that your tanks are outclassed.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So it feels like I'm a bit kind of like on the defensive.
And if I can make this a tank battle, which the name of the scenario suggests, I should win it.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of points there.
That's
isn't
it,
there?
exactly. Yeah.
Points in burning wrecks kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that may be the way to go.
Yeah, that anti-tank gun at the back there is kind of holding up the whole rear line, as it were. It's stopping you getting stuff off. But I feel like that's a last turn, maybe a 2-turn.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
push.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're making good progress.
Yeah.
Like I say, and you've also captured a HASL as well.
That's another 2 points.
Technically,
isn't it?
technically,
to get to the end of the game, and I've still got that. That's another 2 points.
So right now it's almost dead level.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see how it goes. So turn 4. Here we go.
Turn 4.
And finish turn 4 with a German victory. Martin, you've won. You took my. I'm still in shock of that brutal mauling you gave me there. So the Germans kind of rolled the Russians over, didn't they? That turn. You swung around both sides of the artillery gun, which was great.
Which could have got a kill on one of the tanks and didn't.
Yeah, so it had an intensive fire shot.
Which was a reasonable
I think needed 8s to kill and got a 9 or 10, in fact 10, because it's not even a possible shot. And then you broke my concealed guys in front of the gun, which enables you then to run around both sides.
Run around both sides, and of course additional prisoners, potentially even more CVP at the end.
Yeah, and then I got a morale check on the crew, and I double-6'd that.
Yeah.
Then you broke my guys over in the woods where the leader had got to try and rally.
Yeah. Leader went berserk.
Leader goes berserk.
The squad was destroyed.
The squad was destroyed.
Yeah.
And you've just now destroyed one of my scout cars as well.
Yeah.
And now I think at this point you've just completely play defensive. And I think you're absolutely fine. I think the Russians have the one very good tank. The
M41, isn't it?
T-34 M41, yeah. But he is a little bit vulnerable against your Marders, so it's a nice little matchup.
Yeah.
But
he's only there on his own, isn't he? And I mean, though he has got some little bit of protection around him, but it's.
And that's really going to be the fight that we think the fighter bomber's target is going to be him, probably. And in all other instances, really the German armour does outclass the Russians there. So it's a tricky one in terms of where the Russians move to and how they can defend that area.
Be quite interesting, because we were just talking about, weren't we? We were wondering what you could have done. You felt like you didn't use the vehicles very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the infantry stuff and the guns was very good. It was quite hard getting past you.
Yeah, but they didn't move a lot, did they? They didn't have a lot of fire on you.
Yeah. So I mean, if there's anybody with ideas on how the Russians should use those vehicles, we'd both be interested.
Yeah, definitely.
I certainly don't think I'd have been doing any better.
There's definitely a lot of options in how this scenario is going to play out. So I thought it was really good. You had that big kill stack, which I thought you don't often see across a big open wide board like this.
A lot of potential targets.
Yeah, you were getting 16 shots there.
And actually, as soon as you started opening up, because just that last turn, you started to unconceal lots of guys, and also of course they're vulnerable. Of course, the mortar had broken, but you still got that other stack.
You've got so many fire shots against them. I can't. I mean, I think the turn where I lost the 2 guys. Both the
berserkers, that was very
lost
impactful,
two squads was a big change.
Yeah.
But having said that, I don't think they were going to last a lot anyway, a long time in there, because you were kind of coming on very strong into the centre of the village there. So it is an interesting scenario. It's definitely got a lot of replay value, because I think sometimes the Germans can just go for a very quick push into the exit places. You didn't need to exit any vehicles, and that's the other thing. In theory, you can now exit.
Yeah, that's right.
For exit points. And probably that's too risky, because the anti-tank gun's still sitting
I mean, there's still the plane could potentially deal with a threat like that.
Yeah, so in hindsight, maybe trying to give you less points and forcing you to, maybe just going completely on the defensive for the Russian. Seems to be
Russian's got to be, I think, completely on the defence.
Yeah.
But then the danger is that the points tot up and you find yourself in the last turn or two behind. And
Yeah. I'm looking forward to one where we get a nice last turn. Because I think then we can film the whole last turn see how it plays out. We can try to do that.
We really had that last week with the close combat one.
Right.
That was the last turn. You had a plan to win in the last turn.
I always have a plan.
Yeah.
It's terrible plans, but
I mean, it didn't work out, but it was exciting the last thing, because it could have worked out.
But yeah, so this one feels like tricky, but lots of options, and
I would be very interested in people's thoughts on how the Russians can use the gun, the tank, the vehicles, because those scout cars, are just so vulnerable once they're on there. Okay, they offer a little bit of protection against the dive bomber, but not amazing protection.
Right.
And so they.
Do you think they're there just for the heavy machine guns to get them out? And
maybe, but then the vehicles are sitting around just being CVP waiting for the Germans to collect, isn't it? So, and I don't know how you protect them.
The vehicles, just to get them off, the trucks, the ZISs it's a fairly meaninless exercise, isn't it? I mean, they kind of get off, and you 2 or 3 points.
I hit 2 or 3, got 2
and
or 3,
I got 2 or 3 of them off. So it was okay, but it was not really. I don't think that's. When I first looked at the scenario, I thought that was really going to be the crux of the thing, having to get those guys off, and it turned out to be. I think that they were worth a point each. We think so. There's not really worth. I mean, there's 6 point swing, but in terms of that's pretty much one of my vehicles. So if you just take one of those vehicles out, that can make up for all of the things. And if anything, they kind of cause the problem with the hindrances. And maybe that's part of the.
They caused a problem for me actually because it meant that my firepower was less effective.
Right.
It was like a screen of an orchard or something in front of you.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can place your tank and the cars with the anti-aircraft machine guns in such a way that they sort of mutually protect each other, and cover and protect some terrain that you don't want. I'm not quite sure what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I like you. I'd love to see a vassal screenshot of how someone's game is in turn 2, turn 3 to see how that's progressed.
That'd be very interesting.
So definitely recommended, and give it a go and let us know how you get on.
It's certainly enjoyable.
So good game, well played.
Thank you.
I think you've caught up now. I think we're back onto level terms again.
I think you're down a few now.
Oh, really?
No, I've got no idea.
All right. So next week we're going to do the top 5 scenarios from
Franc Tireur, and we will probably play one of those.
Exactly, that we will do. Yeah, we will. So I like the counters. The counters were good.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with the counters.
So we noticed that the Marder 3 didn't have the +3 CE on the back.
That's right. Yeah.
So it might be worth checking that the counters match up with what you're expecting in terms of, or read the vehicle notes, just in case we've missed that. There was something at our old eyes again. We struggled, didn't we, with the back of the.
I had my glasses and I couldn't read it. There's something on there. It may very well say crew exposed get +3. But
zoom in and have a look.
No, I can't read that.
It might be just a logo of the.
It could be. Do the others have something like that?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so it's perhaps a logo. Yeah.
So that's just something to bear in mind.
Yeah, it's certainly worth checking the vehicle notes. Isn't it?
But I enjoyed the sniper counter with the number on it. That was nice.
That was actually very good.
Yeah, that was nice and useful. And the counters look great. The SS, the full colour ones look really, really good. So very nice. They all work. They pushed in the right direction. Didn't have a problem slipping, picking them up or anything.
And they flipped over easily.
And I mean, things to notice. I think some people sometimes question things like what's the colour inside. So they are the same colour inside as a normal counter.
Yeah. So the same thickness too.
Same thickness, same counters. So that's all good. So I think that's pretty much that. So thanks again for your patronage, your feedback, your notes and comments. It's nice a few people said hello to me in Vassal as well when I've been playing there. So thanks. I don't know if you venture out of Vassal anymore.
But, no, I do. Absolutely.
Of course, you're
no one said hello. No,
so there you go.
There we go. Perhaps say hello to me Monday nights. Yeah.
you got to restrain orders sometimes. You have to do that. All right. Well, okay. So until next week. Thanks very much, and
bye bye.